Hello, lads!
So, how about that KOF 15? So it's been out exactly 2 weeks at time of writing this, at least as far as the official date goes, since I didn't have enough influencer good boy points to nab it early, and I figured I'd give my thoughts on it considering I literally run an SNK based YouTube channel. Plus I need some filler to keep my channel from combusting during the wait for my next big video. As an absolute scrublord with a 46.7 win rate, my perspective is obviously extremely important to note, and is overall incredibly indicative to the game's quality, of course. I guess the best place to start is the most surface level thing, the graphics, and I gotta say the game looks really great in motion. It's not some insanely refined or polished game like Strive, but I'd say it edges out Street Fighter V and several other recent fighting games in this department, although I do have my issues. Chief among them being the fact that these models can often fall apart a bit when you're seeing them up close, mostly due to how ridiculously exaggerated the body parts can be. See, now we're talking perspective. Ryo's model looks perfect when he's just standing there in normal gameplay camera view. It's a damn near perfect recreation of his 13 sprite. Same thing with Terry actually. But when you pan the camera closer to them and see them from different angles, suddenly they're fucking fridges. I mean, Terry having an air vacuumed shirt and jeans and just this massive fucking frame makes him look pre-built for hentai. It's really off-putting trying to watch these characters in cutscenes when they're these massive brick shithouses. And these issues extend to some of the female characters too, most notably Shermie. I mean, you could balance a plate on her ass, that's how much it's sticking out. And other things look pretty awkward as well, like Mai and Vanessa's arms are just so long and stick out, I feel like I could just snap them like a fucking Kit Kat. Although I don't want to harp on this too much, because the game did give us Chungus Ryo, and deserves incredible props for that. What really doesn't help my issues with the proportions is I don't really like how the characters actually animate in the cutscenes either. I think it's most comparable to Sonic 06 with how characters almost seem like they're being puppeteered. Their massive gestures combined with their crazy proportions and inability to just stand still make the pre-battle dialogues really unnatural to watch for me. And you know, I feel like a dick saying that because I do appreciate all the effort that's gone into making these, and there is a lot of them. And it must have taken a lot of time and care, but I'm honestly just not really vibing with them. Although I just want to reiterate, the game looks fantastic during the actual gameplay, which is by far the most important part. It's nice and bright and colourful without being oversaturated, and the characters pop against the background nicely. I've seen the elemental move effects get a lot of flack, but I think they look okay. I've seen better, I've seen worse. I still think the best move effects in fighting game history come from the real belt titles. But yeah, this game looks really nice and its leaps and fucking bounds better than KOF 14, thank god. I'd wager a lot of special attention was put on making sure this game looked nice, and the end result really shows the effort they put in here. Moving on from the graphics, I'll take a quick look at the gameplay. Now, I'm by no means a competitive player, and I don't claim to be an authority on this, so I can't really give you any concrete pros or cons on the technical side of things. I will say that 15 feels like a slightly more fluid and fast versions of 14's gameplay, so that was something I was immediately happy about. And the new mechanics like Shatter Strike and being able to use EX moves outside of max mode are very, very welcome and fun additions. Although to be honest, 2 weeks after the fact I'm still struggling with certain inputs and I'm dropping combos more than I ever have in a KOF game. I don't know if there's a lower leniency this time around, but I'm still dropping extremely simple stuff sometimes in this game. Like I'm dropping Burn Knuckle into Bust Wolf, and I don't even know how I'm doing that. To make sure I wasn't crazy, I went back to 14, which bear in mind I have very little experience with, and I was able to perform it no problem every time. While I'm getting better at it, it's still kinda weird that I'm having this trouble in the first place since I've never struggled with this before in a KOF game. Yes, I'm doing that button hold thing. Also, this is more of a skill issue than an actual flaw with the game, but I just wish it was easier to confirm from lights. There's this very specific timing to it that I just can't master. Trying to perfect the timing can be difficult enough in training mode, but it's even harder for me in an actual match. Like, I don't want KOF to be casualized to a Strive degree where I can get stoned and still make it to Celestial while simultaneously getting sloppy tough, but the strict timing of even simple confirms feels like limiting accessibility for the sake of it. But hey, that's a topic for another video, and hopefully by then I'm a lot better at the game so I actually have a leg to stand on. Speaking broadly though, I enjoy how the game feels, and as I play more and improve, my issues with it grow smaller. However, I do genuinely feel like the leniency with simple combos or punishes is off, because I could do them perfectly in games like KOF 13. And even 98 I have an easier time. If you had similar problems, let me know, because I've seen a few people here and there say the same thing and I want to know how common it is. Okay, so most controversial part of the video over. How about that music? Really good soundtrack, as I've come to expect from this series, obviously. I don't know if it quite edges out KOF 14's OST, but there's some really good tracks. My favourites being Fictitious or Real, Liberty, and the main theme Now or Never is also really good, and it had me hooked as soon as I first heard it in the initial trailer. Other good tracks include the new version of Bloody, the Chune vs Meeting-kun theme, and even Isla's song is growing on me in this so bad it's good way. Although the game loses points for having probably the worst Art of Fighting team theme of all time, and I'm not very big on Fatal Fury's new song either. But hey, this game introduces the DJ station as well, which is a fantastic addition. Basically, if you haven't used it yet, you can unlock every previous KOF soundtrack as well as some extras to swap out with the 15 soundtrack. So if you don't like Ride the Big Wave, you can just chuck in Wild Street and the game is fixed. Really nice feature. My only issue is the lack of arranged versions of classic songs, but considering that might potentially be a legal nightmare, I'm not going to hold it against the game. Now let's talk characters. The roster is solid gold A tier in terms of KOF rosters. Everyone we've come to expect is here and accounted for, mostly, and there's absolutely no filler. Fan favourites like CYS and Chizuru make their long-awaited returns, but in terms of exciting roster inclusions, I think we can all agree that Cronin really stole the show. Nobody fucking thought K49 was ever gonna show up again. Seeing this dude at the Game Awards was insane. While yes, it is smaller than 14's roster, I prefer quality over quantity. Bigger number does not always equal better game, come on guys. Although I was initially disappointed that Geese Rock, Billy and Yamazaki had seemingly been cut, those qualms were quickly put to rest with the DLC reveal. And it seems like all of them have gotten special attention to be as cool as possible with either swanky new outfits or just sanding off the few remaining edges on their 14 models. Like especially with Rock. He's looking better than ever, goddamn. His level 3 is already one of the best animated and most impactful ones in the game. My one genuine gripe with the roster is the lack of Kim. It really does feel strange to not have him around considering he's always been a perfect attendee up until this point, and is a character I've always enjoyed using as a secondary. Here's hoping for DLC, boys. And SNK, if you really can't animate his pants, just stick him in some booty shorts, as long as he's in the game. Okay, last thing I feel like I should talk about is the actual game content, and unfortunately I don't have a lot of positives to say here. The game is pretty damn lackluster. If you're one of those insane single player only fighting game players, I hope you like grinding story mode, because apart from that, well, there's versus mode, and trials, and that is it. Even if you decide to clear every single character's trials, there's only 5 per character and usually only 3 of them are actually challenging in any way. The gallery mode is pathetically limited to endings, cutscenes and the Obari short, which is awesome by the way. Other than that, there's just character voices. Compare this to 14's gallery, which in addition to cutscenes and voices, had a shit ton of sought after KOF art in high quality. There's no real reason they couldn't have just put all this art in 15 as well. It's not like everyone who bought 15 also has 14. And hey, there's still a ton of SNK art that has no high quality scans online that I'd love to see in its original quality. What's really weird is that a ton of 15's supplementary material isn't even included in the game, like team stories or character renders or the concept artwork that they're now putting on Twitter. 14 even had more single player content with time trials and survival modes. Did I ever play them? Not personally, no, but I like that the option was there to actively extend gameplay time outside of the constant online matches. Oh shit, yeah, the online. It's good. Rollback is great. Almost all my matches are completely playable. Matchmaking is a little wonky, but it's good overall. Nice job, SNK. This is the smoothest online experience I've had with a fighting game. So, wrapping this shit up, the final verdict. While it might sound like I'm shitting down the game's throat a bit, I don't intend to do that at all. I'm just pointing out genuine flaws I found with it. And if you don't agree, that's fine. More power to you, and I hope you continue enjoying the game. Hell, I enjoy it a ton. I think it's a really fun game. The main meat of the game, the online matches, are fine-tuned to near perfection. However, I do believe it's pretty content-starved and the skill gate... what do you call it? The skill gate is pretty high. What I mean is, I don't think this is going to be the KOF title that skyrockets into the FG mainstream like a lot of people were expecting. I personally believe that the execution is too high for the casual fighting game enjoyer to stick around after a week or so. I think a lot of veteran players are forgetting how hard it is to jump into KOF as a complete beginner. And I don't think that 15 is more forgiving than any other KOF title. I think the game really shot itself in the foot with the shatter all expectations motto, because that, obviously, made everyone think that it was going to be some massive fuck off game with like a bajillion characters and extra content and all these different bells and whistles. What KOF 15 actually turned out to be is a very solid KOF title, with the best online of the series so far. And depending on your own personal opinions, it's up to you to decide whether that's good enough or not. At least as far as the official date goes, I didn't have enough influence or good... Are you kidding me? Shut the fuck up. I'm recording my YouTube video. I have 500 subscribers! At least as far as the official date goes.